So if anybody in your life asks you for a loan or asks me for a loan, the answer is always no. And that is the same no matter the circumstance. I do not lend money. It's designed to protect the relationship. When you lend somebody money, now there's an open transaction. And until that contract is closed, until the money is paid out, there can be a lingering tension in the relationship. I never want to create those types of tensions with the people that I love the most. Well, hello from 30,000 feet. I hope you can hear me okay over the noise of the airplane, but I have been going mega viral on TikTok recently, talking about my, secrets of a trust fund baby series, if you will, the little money rules and social rules that I've learned, coming from multiple generations of wealth. If you don't follow me, by the way, here is my TikTok at gina.knox. Go follow me. I talk about some really interesting things. I figured that I would use this beautiful opportunity while I'm sitting here in the gorgeous British Airways Club World Suites to discuss a little bit more in depth the trust fund baby money rules and other rules that I have learned, and get into some more strategies that everybody can be using to implement these, no matter where you are in your financial journey. We're going to cover 3 of the rules, and then we can make a part 2 if we want to, if this goes well. All right, let's dive into money rule number 1. This comes directly from my grandfather, who was a baby of the Great Depression. His father was an alcoholic and a used car salesman, not a very successful one. And when he was a young boy, he was sent away to live with his aunt and uncle because his parents literally couldn't afford to feed him. He was able to pull himself out of poverty by enlisting in the army during World War II. He then went and got his law degree on the GI Bill after he was done in the Army. He became a career politician in the state of California, the California State Legislature, and then he had a private practice in San Francisco. And one of the things that I remember so vividly him telling me is, Gina, never lend anybody money. You either give it as a gift freely with no expectation that it'll ever be paid back, or you don't give it at all. And the reason this was really for 2 core reasons. Reason number 1, it protects the relationship. I think that's really the main driver here. It protects the relationship. Have you ever owed anybody money or had somebody owe you money, and you're in the middle of paying it back, or they're in the middle of paying it back, but the transaction is still kind of open-ended, and then you run into them at a barbecue, or you see them out and about, or you see their Instagram stories and they're on another vacation, and it's a little bit like, okay, man, come on. What's going on? Are you going to pay me back or what? It can cause a little bit of awkwardness in the relationship while the transaction is open. And that's, if they're paying you back. Let's say they message you and go, hey, can I have an extension? What are you going to say? No? What's the other alternative? At the end of the day, it can create a lot of awkwardness while a transaction is open. But the worst case scenario is they don't pay you back at all. And then it can entirely blow up relationships. And it's just not worth it to blow up your relationships over money. So that's kind of reason number 1. Reason number 2 is a lot more practical. When you are giving money with the assumption that you'll never see that money in return, you are a lot more likely to sit down and reconcile, okay, how much can I genuinely afford to give in this moment? Not how much can I extend myself to give because I hope that I'll get the money back, but how much can I genuinely afford to give if I never see this money again? And that's super important because you don't want to extend yourself. You have bills to pay. You have retirement to save for. You have debt to pay off. So we cannot be walking around willy-nilly, overly extending ourselves with our loans because we think we're going to get the money back. Let's talk about 2 strategies that I teach my clients who have family members who are constantly hitting them up for money, or it's just a societal expectation that you're going to send money back home. Strategy number 1, make it a monthly budget line item. So when you're doing your budget, right, you go, okay, here's my housing costs, here's my utilities, here's my student loan repayment, here's my credit card minimums, here's my eating out budget and my grocery budget and my car loan and da-da-da-da-da. You have another line item in there that goes family giving. And there's really 2 ways to go about this. Way number 1 is you just give cash. I have clients who give their family members a literal dollar amount every single month, almost like an allowance, right? I have a client who gives her dad $500 a month. I have another client who gives her grandma $1,500 a month. So it just becomes a budget line item. Now, this doesn't work well if you have family members who you are wanting to financially support but have addiction problems or are just like mad at money. If that is you and you want to support someone but you don't trust them with cash, then a really great way I recommend is simply paying one or more of their bills directly. So paying somebody's rent directly, having someone's utility bill go to you instead of them. This allows you to pay a bill, allows you to help somebody out on a monthly basis without giving them cold hard cash. And what I love about this method is that, again, it's right in your budget. It's like, I can only afford to give what I can afford to give based on my income and my other expenses. And it forces you to reconcile how much that dollar amount realistically is without overextending yourself. Option number 2 is for the person who it's not necessarily a monthly thing that you want to pay someone's bill or you want to give someone a monthly stipend, but you want to have a pot of cash available. So this is what I call the family savings fund. You create a savings account that is separate and you fund it as you can or as you see fit. Maybe you set a budget, $10,000 a year is in that account, and once it's gone, it's gone. Or maybe you say, hey, every time I can throw some money in there, I throw some money in there, and that's what it is. And then anytime anybody, friend, family, or otherwise comes to you saying, can I have a loan? You go, no, but here's some money you can have, and you don't have to pay me back. And it's to your discretion how you decide to use that money. Do you give it all away to someone in a crisis? Do you say, hey, I can give you 10% of this budget? Do you do a monthly amount? You get to decide what makes sense for you, your family, your peer group, etc. I found both of these to be incredibly helpful, again, from the perspective of not risking the relationship, but also not risking your financial stability. As a money coach, I want you to be hitting your financial goals. I want you to be set up for retirement and pay off your debt and be paying your bills, because if you're not doing those things, eventually you're going to turn around and be dependent on somebody else down the line as well. And at the end of the day, that's what creates the generational cycles of poverty that we're trying to break. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, it's not so much a rule as much as it is a habit. I learned this from my mother and my grandmother the most, and it's really fun for me. The rule is, don't be mysterious. Be a yapper. Yap about everything. Yap about your dreams, your goals, what you're working on, what you're struggling with, what you're wanting to achieve, to anybody who will listen. Because the reality is, you never know when someone has the ability to help you. And I mean, there's a reason why there's a saying, closed mouths don't get fed, or squeaky wheel doesn't get the grease, right? There's so many different idioms to describe this exact thing. The person who asks is the person who gets. And the worst thing they can say is no. And it's not even that they're saying no, right? Like in this scenario, you're just yapping about what you're doing. Sometimes you might be asking for direct help, but most of the time you're just yapping about what you're doing. I call this stirring the pot. Whenever I'm thinking of a new idea, I stir the pot. I tell everybody because I want to hear their reaction. I want to hear their curiosities, their questions, their criticisms. I've oftentimes stirred the pot and had someone go, oh my God, you know who you need to connect with? So-and-so. And then that unlocked a whole another level of my goal or my dream. There's this trend online where people go, build in silence and be mysterious and don't tell anyone and change your whole life. And I disagree. Now, I will say, I understand if you're surrounded by haters. There's definitely people who are like, I cannot yap because I'm surrounded by haters who are out to get me. What I've done is I've kind of distilled it down into 2 separate groups, okay? There's insecure people and secure people. You will know you're talking to someone who is insecure when they criticize you without really understanding. They don't ask follow-up questions, literally. They just jump into feedback or criticism. They try and convince you otherwise. They try to tell you why you cannot do XYZ. They do not connect you with other people. And in the worst scenario, they actively seek to sabotage you. Now, if you're surrounded by haters and you have been surrounded by haters your whole life, it's very, very often that you're surrounded by people who are insecure. And I'm going to say, it might be hard to hear this, but a lot of times it's not their fault they're insecure, right? The world has beaten them down, and that is their defense mechanism. That doesn't mean you have to sacrifice yourself for them. So what I want you to do is attempt to not yap with insecure people. They're not generally helpful. And again, not of any fault of their own. but just because that's the way it is. But we do want to yap with secure people. You will know you are yapping with a secure person when they lean in to the conversation. They ask you follow-up questions. They're curious about what you're doing. They're excited for you. They express their enthusiasm and their support of you. They connect you with other people. They say, oh my God, you know who you need to meet? So-and-so. Or, oh my God, I would love to help you. How can I help you? They're actively participating in lifting you up. Now, I want to be really clear. Secure people also may offer constructive criticism. Just because someone is criticizing you doesn't automatically make them insecure. The constructive criticism, though, will look like, hey, have you thought about this, by the way? Or, you know what, I had a buddy who did that, and this is how it really went wrong, so just watch out. Or they might say, don't do that because da-da-da-da-da, but not from a place of wanting to tear you down as much as from a place of love and wanting to protect you. I want to be so clear. It's up to you, the person, to decide what constructive criticism you take or leave behind. Just because someone is offering you criticism doesn't mean you have to take it. But those are the two groups of people, and I really want you yapping with the secure people. I also want you to not assume everybody is in one group or the other when you first meet them. If you're like me, I've been surrounded by secure people my whole life. So it's easy for me to assume everyone is secure and I can yap to everyone. If you have been surrounded by insecure people all your life, it may be easy to assume everyone is insecure and no one is worth talking to. Both you and I, we have to test the waters with new people, okay? Don't make assumptions, test the waters, see what the reaction is, and move accordingly. Okay, final rule number 3 is just because you have the money for something doesn't mean you should buy it or do it. This is a lot about wealth preservation, right? When it comes to being upper middle class, which is what I am, I'm upper middle class, meaning my parents were working professionals, my grandparents were working professionals. We're not like billionaire class where there's just like a trust fund in place for all the family to live off of. When it comes to upper middle class, in order to make the jump into wealthy, or just in order to establish yourself and be secure, you have to grow assets. You can't just have cash flow. So the trap of the upper middle class is that there's a lot of cash flow coming in, but there's not necessarily assets unless you go out and buy them and or build them. So what you want to do is 100% prioritize buying assets. In my family's case, we did it in the really most simple way. Stocks and bonds. It's so simple, anybody can do it. The reason you don't just want to buy everything you can just because you can is because of that. You want to have enough money left to buy yourself assets. The reason this came up this summer for me is because I was in Greece for 4 weeks with my family, and we were on mainland Greece. My husband is Greek. He's from Thessaloniki, which is northern Greece. His family's from there. And we were in mainland Greece. We were on the mainland beaches. And I was thinking to myself, like, we have Santorini money. We have Mykonos money. We could even have like private jet money if we really wanted to. But it's not about just being able to do it, so we should do it. It's really about like, do I really want to blow my entire travel budget on one place because everybody's talking about it and it's expected and it's where the wealthy people go? Or do I want to spread out my travel budget in a way that allows me to have more time and peace and relaxation? And there's no wrong answer. I want to be super clear. But I think it's just so interesting to think about, like, a lot of times when people get into the upper middle class, meaning they get cash flow, meaning they become professionals, they immediately blow it all on lifestyle stuff. They spend more than they can, not even more than they can afford, but they spend to the edge of what they can afford. Let's say you're making $20,000 a month in cash flow, but you're spending all of it every month. You're not wealthy because you don't have anything left. If you're making $20,000 a month and spending $19,000 a month, and you have $1,000 left over for an emergency or something, you're not putting yourself in the position to be wealthy. Those are the 3 trust fund baby money rules that I have for you today. Let me know, what questions do you guys have in the comments? What reactions do you have? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I welcome it all. This is not a closed off space where I'm not interested in hearing your opinions. I very much am interested in hearing your opinions. And let me know if you guys want a part 2. I have a really juicy one from my dad, but I think that deserves a whole video in and of itself. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye. Oh, by the way, look at how amazing the scene is. Wait, I'm gonna put the mic down.
Yeah,
I'm in a little cocoon. I even have a door. Okay, bye.